Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. If you've been anywhere near a live news feed lately, you know the US-Iran conflict is moving at an absolutely breakneck speed. It's chaotic, right? Well, today, we're going to cut right through all that noise. We're going to unpack the intersecting global layers of this crisis. We're diving into the hard data to see exactly how a localized military strike creates this massive, unstoppable ripple effect across the entire globe. So here is our roadmap for today. We're going to start with 1, the brink of escalation, then move into 2, the strait and the spigot, explore number 3, the unseen digital war, and finally wrap it all up with 4, diplomacy and domestic politics.
All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the brink of escalation, the epicenter.
You know, modern warfare moves with just blistering speed. Let's actually trace a rapid 48-hour window to put this into perspective. On July 31st, reports start coming out that the US and Israel are coordinating what could be one of the harshest bombing campaigns we've seen to date against Iranian energy infrastructure. And almost immediately, the dominoes just start falling. By dawn on August 1st, Kuwait's military is intercepting hostile Iranian drone attacks right in their own airspace. By that exact same morning, US embassies in Amman, Jerusalem, and Baghdad are issuing these severe security alerts, urging American citizens to prepare to leave due to unforeseen escalation. I mean, in just 36 hours, the whole situation jumped from the planning stages to regional airspace breaches and embassy evacuations. It's wild.
And what's absolutely crucial to understand is that this conflict is fundamentally not geographically contained. It's spreading like wildfire. U.S. and Saudi forces are actively striking pro-Iran militants, the Hashd al-Shaabi, over in Iraq. Meanwhile, in southern Lebanon, the Israeli military just used a staggering 700 tons of explosives to detonate a massive underground Hezbollah command center right near a UNESCO World Heritage Site, no less. And at the very same time, Iran's Revolutionary Guard is striking commercial tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. We are literally watching a multi-border conflict unfold in real time. An action in one country immediately triggers a kinetic, physical response in another.
That brings us to section 2, the strait and the spigot. Let's talk about the economic shockwaves.
So, the Strait of Hormuz is this incredibly narrow, highly strategic waterway. Normally, it carries a massive 20% of the world's oil and natural gas shipments. 20%. But Iran has effectively closed it down since late February by striking non-compliant tankers that try to pass under U.S. military escort. That creates a geopolitical bottleneck of epic proportions. The immediate result of that closure? It sent global Brent crude prices just soaring, jumping from around $70 to well over $100 a barrel, and at one point hitting a peak of $126. We're talking about real-world impacts here, like sporadic fuel rationing in Australia and government office closures in places like Sri Lanka. This might be a regional waterway, but it has a deeply, deeply global impact.
But here's a really stark contrast for you. While everyday consumers are facing incredibly high pump prices and global fuel shortages, major oil producers are experiencing historic windfalls. Exxon literally doubled its second quarter profits to over $14 billion. That is a 105% increase. And Chevron, they nearly quadrupled their profits to $12 billion, an incredible 385% jump. So as supply chains buckle globally, certain constituencies are having a highly profitable crisis by selling constrained goods at a really steep premium.
To bypass all of this immense economic pressure, nations are absolutely frantic for workarounds. 750,000 barrels per day. That's the daily capacity of a newly renewed pipeline agreement that Iraq and Turkey just rushed through to Turkey's port of Ceyhan. It's a massive strategic workaround designed explicitly to completely bypass the blocked Persian Gulf. When a major maritime choke point closes, the rest of the world has to get incredibly creative, really fast, just to secure global energy supplies. Moving on to section 3, the unseen digital war. Let's dive into cyber and AI. Now, while the physical war is happening thousands of miles away, the digital war is hitting right at home. Right now, the FBI is investigating malicious cyber attacks on water systems across at least 7 U.S. states, including Minnesota. Think about that for a second. Some local utilities were literally forced into manual operations just to keep the drinking water flowing to residents. Federal authorities are actively probing potential links to Iranian hackers. It really just proves that modern asymmetric warfare doesn't even need to fire a physical shot to reach local American towns and cause widespread disruption.
But you know, cyber attacks on infrastructure are only half of the digital equation. The other half is wartime disinformation.
Enter SynthID. This is a digital watermark embedded by Google to help identify if an image is AI generated. And this technology is suddenly absolutely critical because generative AI is actively being weaponized right now to distort the absolute truth of what is happening on the ground.
Just compare these two concepts. On one hand, you have an authentic, real-world satellite image of the Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan. On the other hand, you have an AI-generated fake from a model like Nano Banana 2. The AI convincingly adds completely fake burn marks and shows destroyed U.S. military aircraft that don't actually exist. Iran has repeatedly released unsourced, manipulated imagery claiming to have destroyed U.S. equipment. Even with amazing tools like SynthID, AI manipulation turns the simple task of verifying the truth in a war zone into a total technological nightmare. It completely complicates the global narrative of who is actually winning or losing.
All right, let's head into our final section. Section 4, Diplomacy and Domestic Politics.
Back in Washington, all of these ground-level events are deeply intertwined with partisan politics. Despite a lot of domestic blame shifting over those recent cyber attacks we just talked about, the Senate held a crucial vote on limiting the administration's war powers regarding Iran. And that resolution narrowly failed, 49-50. What that means is the executive branch retains full authority to continue military operations without any new congressional limits heading right into the August recess.
Now, if you look at it from the U.S. administration's perspective, this ongoing military pressure is actually yielding major diplomatic breakthroughs. President Trump recently stated, "Nobody's ever thought that would be possible to disarm Hamas." That shows you how much success we're having with Iran. The White House clearly views the severe degradation of Iran's military capacity as the direct catalyst that forced the historic agreement to disarm Hamas in Gaza.
However, the international community's tone is vastly different from Washington's. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres issued a pretty dire warning, stating what began as a regional conflict is increasingly becoming a driver of global instability. The UN is pointing directly to those buckling global supply chains and surging food prices, highlighting the very real day-to-day struggle of families worldwide who are just trying to deal with the economic fallout of these closed waterways. So, what does this all mean? That really leaves us with one final, absolutely crucial question. When we pull all these threads together, we see that modern war isn't just fought with troops and tanks anymore. As the conflict shifts rapidly from the physical battlefield straight into our global supply chains, our gas prices, and the digital networks managing our local water systems, what does the future of warfare actually look like? It's a multi-domain reality that affects all of us, literally no matter where we live. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.